Say, hey, hey, G, hey, E, we represent, hey, hey, G, E, what else, what else, C, come on, come on, come on, C, just let's go, so let's dance now, it is my turn, just want you, I am ready for your action, just want you should cut off all distraction. It's all on you now, and just give me some reaction. Just wanna you. Girl, I like the way you move. Really wanna get with you. Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time to show and prove.
It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbing Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuchendu. Thanks a lot for joining us today. We're going to be talking about one of my favorite sectors in the Nigerian economy. I like to talk about the economy, not just entertainment now. Talking about Nollywood. And we hear a lot about how it's the second most prolific industry in the world. So many titles that they get. And how much money seems to be in the industry. I hear multi-billion-dollar worth. But why don't we seem to see that reflected, like up close?
The Nigerian creative industry is a business that boasts billions of naira in revenue. New films, new platforms, fresh faces, bigger and more diverse stories getting the attention of the world. How did we get here? How's the industry sustained itself? How have the players thrived? What has changed? Many questions leading to one destination. How can we harness the full power of Nollywood? Today we dive into the Nigerian creative space. We kickstart the chat with some key personalities in film. Ibuka chats with top Nollywood film producers Charles Novia and Baba Agba. Next on Rubbing Minds.
Let's get straight into it, because I think we talk a lot about structure and how that seems to be the problem with the industry and how things have shaped up so far. Is structure linked to the fact that money doesn't seem to be reflected enough in how Nollywood is run?
Well, if you talk about structure, I think the Nollywood industry, as it were, is becoming structured now through the layers of auditable platforms. We have cinemas, the OTTs, Netflixes, Amazons, and all that. So we're getting a little bit of the structure to sort of determine where the inflow, where the funds are coming in. But before then, and this was what I was going to say, there was money being made even without the structure, the formal structure. And if you, even by the time, what's his name, Leke Alda did a sort of study on Nollywood some 10 years ago, 2007, I think, or thereabouts. And his report was that it was, at that time, what he could find from the structureless industry then, that it was projected to have done about $800 million then.
Wow.
Yeah. So I think right now it could be triple that or more than that in that regard. So yes, we have to follow the whole templates, the world templates in terms of structure, because when you are auditable, you sort of encourage more investments into the industry. And I think it's just the beginning. I think, but I think and we'll come to that in a bit, but where we are getting it, where we have to get it is the kind of storylines we are telling right now, which has deviated from what made Nollywood the Nollywood it used to
So you
be.
think that's the problem?
I think that's a big problem, yeah.
I want to talk this story. You talk about stories there, and I think it's something that a lot of viewers are very interested in, because, like you said, that's what made Nollywood Nollywood. It was what attracted the world, the Caribbean. Everybody sort of identified with something and how authentic the story was. What's changed? Did the younger ones come in and sort of shift? Is that what happened?
I think there was,
because you've been in for a while,
Yeah,
so you know where it started from, and then when the shift happened, maybe.
Yeah, I think there was an attempt at which is natural, which is
You don't have to be diplomatic courses here. Tell him the truth.
There was a braggadocious attempt to be different.
Yeah.
But in doing that, I don't think the up and comers or the newcomers, I don't think they studied more what made the market at that time. What makes a film with Richard Murphy Damager or Genevieve or Murtala sell and becomes such a huge hit across the African continent or all over the world that would get people even in the Caribbean rushing to buy it than what will make a present film, a box office film right now with any of those stars, just a tepid hit. It's something you need to really study. Yeah. There was a core that Nollywood, the earlier Nollywood, touched. We were telling stories that sort of brought about a revamped African experience. So we would say people call it voodoo, we call it all that kind of stuff. They call it, you were using, it was a slapstick, whatever it is. But it resonated with the people and it had an audience. What we have now, I think the people that have that connection now will be the Macaronis and what's the other guy, Shaggy, brother Shaggy.
Okay, the online guys.
Yeah, they have something, they have that kind of connection different from what the present guys are doing. So there's got to be a little bit of research. A nexus got to be found somewhere. The story, we are aping a whole lot of romantic comedies, so it's some of those things are not realistic. But it was different.
So what did you guys do? Because I honestly get his points. Because you mentioned some names there, Genevieve's, the RMDs, Regina Askias. These were great actors at the time, but they weren't sold as fine boys and fine girls. The accusation these days is people are plastered on posters from Instagram because they look a certain way or they have a certain following, not necessarily for their talent. As against in the past where you put a fine girl or a fine boy, you're not putting them there because of the way they look, but because of their talent. Do you agree that that's happening?
Yes. So it's a bit of a tough one and a bit of an unfair comparison.
Okay.
So I'll start off with, let's go into the history of everything, right? And look at, let me say, for lack of a better expression, let's jump past Nollywood and look at the generality of Nigerian motion pictures, starting from the 60s when it was the British people making films, and then, you moved into the 70s, 80s, the Olabaloguns, and all of them making films, and then how the situation was. So, in your time. No, I'm joking. So, in this time, let's say the NTA was the NTA at, let me say, the golden era of NTA, where you had sort of that structure, that rigidity in terms of production, and you had the training that came with that. So if you look at the sort of education, so film, whatever you want to call it, is a craft.
But why is that though? Sorry to cut you.
It's an education problem. I mean, Nigeria
so people are just sort of jumping into things and
it's the democratization of technology. It's a problem of education. It's a problem of lack of investments in the creative arts, education, and just bringing up talent. So, geography only just came back. On the curriculum.
I agree with you. I mean,
I'm sorry, history only just came back to the curriculum. What are we doing in terms of do we have music schools?
Yeah.
Is music still taught in schools in Nigeria?
Yeah. But it's interesting, sorry to cut you in there, because I mean, a lot of people, I know we've had this argument about when Nollywood started, but living in bondage comes up a lot in the conversation, and it was started off by a businessman, a marketer who just decided to, use his CDs or VHS that were dumped somewhere. So I guess what I'm trying to say is he had the money, but he still went for quality. It looks like now people just come with the money and just want to.
But the thing people dodge is who he worked with,
which is what I'm saying.
Yeah. So he had Kenneth Nebo, that's for the new generation. Not even the model you watch in the cinemas or on Netflix.
Not the one, the original.
Yeah, but he was a
businessman
who was into was selling tapes and all that, and was selling a lot of foreign films. And he said, hey, why can't we try this thing on our own? And then he did it. But what he did, he could have done it wishy-washy. Yeah. But what he did, he went to the trained producers, the trained directors from NTA, Chris Obirapo and all that, and I said, we've got this idea, let's work with this. And at that time, to shoot on cellular, it was crazy. So shot on Umatic. There was a Umatic was the technology then, which was the broadcast technology and all that. But what I'm trying to say is that he also went through a professional process. He didn't.
Which is what it's kind of. I mean, I'm not saying it's lacking across board, but you find that these days people just sort of.
But why I say that it's a bit of an unfair comparison is that, like I said, the democratization of technology. While it's great and it's birthed amazing stuff, so like the Ikoyi boys and the Nkorodu boys and the rest, and you see what they're doing, and it's like brilliant. pitfalls of this democracy is that everybody has access. So even when he wanted to make his living in bondage, we're talking about Umatic and rest as broadcast format to go find those cameras. Yeah, they were expensive.
Yeah.
You couldn't figure out how to use them. Now every prosumer camera can basically shoot 4K and like very clear images, and people are like, okay, it's good enough. So you couldn't back then say I wanted to make a film and just go and shoot. Now you can.
But I think the essence of what it also is that everybody is shooting, but I don't know whether they're thinking of the audience anymore.
Okay.
Just let me shoot. That's where the problem is.
That's where that sort of craft and profession comes in. Because it's not just everybody has a story to tell. But if your profession is storytelling, it takes on a different. It's just like so everyone can cook, but a chef is different.
Okay, I get you. Let's talk COVID now.
Right.
I mean, it's been a crazy year. We all know Nollywood was definitely very affected. A lot of sets pretty much shut down. Not all of them. I mean, we saw a few things online. But I mean, how does this affect? Because we're still talking money, and money has been lost. How does this affect things going forward? You think with the industry?
Well, I think there's a resilience again that I have to bring that up in Nollywood or in the creative industry, and I think
so cinemas are still shut.
Yeah, cinemas are shut.
So
the bad part of it.
But that's a microcosm.
That's the general industry.
It's bad, but
you know they'll bounce back. But at least the general industry, the larger industry, will bounce back. But it's affecting a certain spectrum of the industry. I mean, we at a point in time, a whole lot of us in some platforms have had to raise money for, you know, because the subsistence level in the industry is just like you see the artisans. You know, you see it's just like the artisans, the everyday artisans you see. It's a daily, for most people, it's a daily set to set and all that. So it's affected, but I think one way or the other, there was a creative industry committee set up, and I hope the government would
also
come to that.
Because there's been interventions across the world for different sectors. In Nigeria, we've heard about palliatives, but the creative industry, there was a 7 billion conversation I was doing sometime earlier in the year. I don't know if it ever happened. Is that important for government to sort of step in and... I mean, government has always needed to step in at some point anyways, but is it urgent now?
If they're stepping in other sectors, there's no need, there's no reason why they shouldn't step in the entertainment industry, in the essence where we have to get the economic value.
Let me putting you guys on the spot a bit. Nollywood has been around for quite a while. I mean, the Nigerian film industry is decades old. When Not Living in Bondage happened and the home video industry became a thing up until now, the Nigerian movie industry was shining. Music came up a few years later and seems to be the baby of everybody now. Internationally, the Grammy nominations are happening all of a sudden. And conversations about featuring certain artists internationally doesn't sound so far-fetched anymore. Beyonce is in the conversation. Do you guys feel left behind?
No, I don't think so. I think they're both sectors are ancillary and they are related. They are cousins, if I put it that way. When Nollywood was doing its own travel around the world, music industry was trying to find its own feet, and I think the music.
But it seems like they've now.
Yeah, because I think I was handed over to the music guys too as well. There's a certain dare factor that they have, which is also backed by finance, wherever the finance comes from.
I'll jump a bit further and not to make anyone feel a certain kind of way, but to be fair, it's easier to do with music.
Yeah.
So music is cheaper compared to film to produce. Music is cheaper compared to film to distribute. Music is easier. So, I mean, to be honest, we know
conversations around music are easier.
No, not even that. Just let's look at money, right? We're here to talk about money. Forget about whatever you want to do in terms of creation. It makes no sense if you can't make money back. So the question is, how do you monetize your content? Yeah. We all know about piracy, so you can't sell CDs, you can't sell films on the streets or anywhere, it's gone. So everything has gone digital or some other sort of platform. Now, how much does it cost to make an album? How much does it cost to make a film?
Yeah.
The next thing is, okay, let's do internet, online, Apple Music, the proliferation of platforms and people using the internet. It's easier to stream a song than to stream a film. Easier to stream a whole album than a film. So at the end of the day, they monetize quicker. Musicians can perform at shows. Filmmakers can
have to sell films.
So
it's a different conversation.
Yeah, so I mean, you can put in money in music and find a way of getting it back out. With film, is very limited.
Yeah.
So that's giving them the scope to, maybe shoot better music videos, seek better collaborations, better production.
Expand.
And film is very collaborative, for music is very individual compared to
very true.
So
it's a two-way thing anyway, but the music industry itself too. So now, I mean, some people will get a little bit riled by this, but then anybody can sing and just jump into it. Just the way we're talking about films now, and they just jump into it and another because the platforms are there for them. But it is, while the music industry is having its own trajectories all over the world, and the Afrobeats, right? It's going. While it's growing. I think if we really look at it too as well, just about 2 or 3% of the musicians or the artists really make money. Maybe let me just say 5% to be charitable. A lot of the
struggle is still there.
It's still there.
On a final note now, we've talked cinemas, but I mean, like you mentioned earlier, streaming has become a big deal now, and these things are coming in. The Netflixes are suddenly showing up. Showmax is here. African Magic still tells amazing Nigerian stories. Are you excited about the future? Are you a little cautious? Because sometimes when they say too many people start showing up, you need to be careful. Are you cautious or are you excited?
I mean, use an analogy or a visual analogy from National Geographic Wide. When you watch all those things and you see the lions hunting in the park and then they all come in.
There's something there.
Yeah, there's something there. There's something there. So let them come in. I think in terms of the residual impact on the industry, on the economy, actually, we need such investments that should come in. I think what we should do as players in the industry and as stakeholders in the industry will be to guard. There should be some kind of gatekeeping. Okay, you're coming in, you're investing. Let it not be that those coming in and tell these kind of stories.
Yeah. Still,
that is where the music is. That's what I'm talking about. The music guys are still keeping to their own. Yeah, they are not moving. They are keeping to the Afro beats, keeping to their style. So we should be able to say. So
they try telling it, doing a
different thing. Yeah, definitely.
And they run back.
So not the Netflixes, the Amazon. Don't come and say tell this kind of stuff. No, let's keep the essence, the African style or whatever it is that we've had.
Apart from the business is also culturally very important. Mm-hmm. I would say I'm happy. Mm-hmm. And what I'll say that is this: we have a situation where we do not have as many of those platforms, and you have so many producers. So just from a power dynamic point of view, producers do not get a good deal ever. Yeah. That's part of this, lack of visible sort of manifestation of this success that we hear about.
Right.
So, and this boils down to it's a very simple thing: ownership of IP, ownership of content. So what you have really is that a lot of people who commission and this called IP, and there's no profit participation. So of course everybody invests and make money, but at the point we become profitable, there should be some sort of share, which you have in music, but and this is global best practice, but in Nigeria that's not the case. So you just get given a little sum of money and that's it for life. Which in every country, for every platform, for eternity. Yeah. So even if your stuff blows up and becomes the biggest selling TV series on TV, you never make a dime of it. Even if it's sold in 5 or 10 other countries, even if you've done 2,000 episodes. You've sold it. Yeah, but which should not ever happen.
I think that should change actually among the. I mean, I think that should change. There's a hunger factor.
Yeah.
A hunger.
But I guess this
should change.
What happens is what happens is when you have a lot more of these guys coming in, it brings competition, and that's when sort of these negotiations can start happening. Yeah, I mean, Hollywood is a place. Which is why Nollywood was always a controversial name. And as we talked about, building or having a space where people can actually go to and shoot, as against begging your friend to use their palo every time or running to hotel rooms to use. Do you think that's ever going to happen? Do you think we need it? A film city where, these things can happen?
I think there have been attempts to build that, and there are still attempts right now, and there's things in the works as it were. But we need that. We need those things because really we need studio lots. We need. The funny thing is that I think. So let me not get a little bit political. So let me leave that. But I think.
That's the first from Charles Novia.
I think just what is needed. It doesn't cost much. I mean, to get a studio lot, really, if you look at what I mean in terms of a standard one, not even the what we have that. If we have, like we have 6 geopolitical zones, if we have a film city or a studio lot in each of the 6, it's going to change a whole lot of things. But it also has to do with finance, the inflow of finance, and where the whole investments are also coming in. People have to see that they're putting in the money and they're getting it back, and that's where a little bit of that blurred lines are right now. You know,
I think those things are nice. It's not always as straightforward as it seems. I mean, even you talk about sort of in America, Hollywood, they have that. How many places have that? How many states in America have that? But I feel when it becomes financially viable, these things will pop up. So we never had cinemas. They became financially viable, they popped up. We never had malls, they became financially viable, they popped up. So I feel the money, capital in itself in sort of the free market way is very efficient. It goes where it will get value. So which is why we need to structure and show the value so people put money.
All right. So Perry did it, I'm sure we can.
Exactly.
It doesn't have to be government.
so
It's never government anyways, yeah.
But I hope let's find an abandoned army lot and see how fast any army will agree to give us.
They're basically
All right. Thank you very much, Charles. Thank you very much, Baba, for an amazing conversation. And please do come back. And stay safe.
Yeah.
We'll take a break now and be right back. Please don't go away.
Wanna get with you. Don't just stand there teasing me. Now it's time to show